Welcome to This Organized Life. If you're a mom, wife, or coffee lover seeking advice on how to reduce clutter and reclaim time, look no further than your host, Lori Palau, founder of Simply Be Organized and author of Hot Mess, a practical guide to getting organized. For a lot of people, clutter is their dirty little secret, but it doesn't have to be. Each week, we will share practical tips, chat with experts, and provide strategies on how to keep you organized. I hope that by sharing our stories, you feel a little less alone and more empowered to tackle the areas that are holding you back. So let's get started.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of This Organized Life podcast. I am your host, Lori Palau. And you guys are in for a treat because we've got a repeat guest who is a friend of mine. She's super fun. And when I was looking to bookend, if you remember last week's episode, we were talking all about prepping for a move, because if you're listening to this in real time, it's summer, which is a big moving time for a lot of people because it's like transitional with kids going back into school. And for a lot of people, that's, they don't want to move in the winter, especially if it's like the Northeast where I live, because weather, snow, ice, all the things. So summer's a big time when people are moving or planning on moving. And so we wanted to hit the pre and the post. And so last week we had our SBO partner, DeLorean Reese, on talking all about practical things that you might not think about when you're planning for a move. And my friend Carol Stewart to come back on the post side about unpacking, because a lot of what she does as a professional organizer is helping with that move management on the post end of things. People that are moving into their spaces want to unpack, get off on the right foot in their new spaces. And so I said, would you please come back on the show? Because she's been on before. She's super fun. She's based in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. At the time of this recording, if you're watching on YouTube, my hair's in a ponytail because I'm hot. And she's like, don't even talk to me about hot, because it's like over 100 degrees where she is. But yet she looks like calm, cool, and collected. So without further ado, let me welcome my friend, the owner of Chaos Organizing in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Ms. MarthaCarol Stewart. Welcome back to the show.
Hi, how are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm sitting in air conditioning. It's good.
Is it? Okay. So I've been to Louisiana a total of one time. And I don't remember the time of year that we went, but it wasn't oppressive. Is it super humid? I would think it would be humid. Is it humid?
It's very humid. It's very humid. Yes. And then you add the heat and the humidity, and it's like breathing in a fishbowl.
Oh,
It's hot. The summer is really, really hot. But this is unusual. We're getting part of that heat wave that's hitting Texas and southern Louisiana, I think into Mississippi, maybe even into Florida. But so we're having record-breaking heat right now. I said the other day on a Facebook post, I said, if you don't know how to empty your AC pan.
I saw that. I was like, I don't even know what you mean. I almost commented on that. I was like, I don't even know what she means. But you said, then you're not from Louisiana.
And I'm
clearly
not. Yes. Everybody right now is working on keeping their AC pipes clean and the pans not filled, and making sure that our AC is running because it's hot.
Gotcha.
It's hot. But, thank goodness for swimming pools and ponds and water. We have lots of water, so that definitely helps.
Gotcha. So I know you are no stranger to our show, and obviously you and I have been friends for 5+ years. But tell our listeners, who might be new listeners, a little bit about you and your business and who you are.
Well, I am MarthaCarol Stewart. I'm a Louisiana Southern girl, and I have a degree in early childhood and family planning. And I was a teacher for, I think 18 years total. I taught mainly kindergarten and young kids. And I also have a little bit of a background in the paracounseling world prior, 30 years ago. But it really helped develop my skill of being able to communicate. And I love that piece about my business. Now, I started my business. I left teaching 10 years ago, and I started Chaos 10 years ago, and it was supposed to just be something I was doing. I just saw a need for it, with the parents of my students and families coming in, and they were stressed out, and the kids were crying, and the parents were crying, and I knew I had a skill to help, and so I took a leap of faith and started Chaos, and that's what we're doing. We're helping families function.
Yeah. And since that point, I mean, again, for all of our entrepreneurs out there that are listening, you started as a one woman show, and you now have a team of people, and you've got a book coming out, which we're going to talk about that also. I mean, all these things. So you really took.
It's been an incredible journey.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really has.
And for the past 5 going on maybe 6 years, I've had a front row seat, and it's just been such a joy to watch. So but I wanted you, we were talking about this series that I'm doing. What's not even really, it's like a 2-part series, not a full series, but just about moving. Because again, moving is stressful. Like, it's, even though it can be exciting, I mean, people move for different reasons. You know, there's people that are in the throes of life where they're moving because our family's growing and we're kind of like outgrowing our space. We've got people that are moving because they're downsizing or right sizing to where their family is. Sometimes there are people moving because it's a relocation. I mean, there's so many different reasons why people move, but even if it's in the best of circumstances, it's still a stressful experience. And maybe I'm just, yeah, go ahead. I'll let you speak into that.
It is stressful. I mean, one, there's fear of change. What if I made the wrong decision about where we're going? There, complete overwhelm, especially if you've been in your house for 30 something years, like a lot of our downsizers has, 30 to 40 years plus. So it's complete overwhelm. Um, I had one of my organizers, we were discussing this podcast, and she said, I don't think people realize it, that the boxes represent their life, and seeing all the boxes filled with all of their things that represent their life and all the things that they've been through and their experiences, that's an emotional overwhelm as well as a visually and physical overwhelm, because it's just so much. It just, sometimes that's why it's needed to have somebody help move that process along, because you get stuck
Yeah.
in the overwhelm of it all.
Yeah. And I think for a lot of people, and again, we talked about this with DeLorean about, we are always telling people to, thin out before you move, take that opportunity to declutter before you move, so that when you do get to your new space, it's really the decision fatigue is less, right? It's, you still have it. You still have to decide
definitely still
where
have
do things need to live, where are things going to go. But you are hopefully already worked through that. Do I need to keep it? Like, that part of the process should hopefully have been completed on the front end of the process.
And I absolutely agree. Decluttering before, going through the methods. So we have our chaos method of organizing, which actually we can use to help declutter the clients before they move. And that's categorizing everything. There's so many times that when you will take all the books that they have as pretty books and books on this shelf and books on that shelf, and you put them all together and they see how many books they have, and they're like, I don't even read these books. Like, and then they'll take a few for decor, but books are heavy. Books are costly because they're heavy. They require boxes. They require movers to move them. And so not only are you cutting down on the decision clutter, the decision fatigue, but you're also cutting down on the cost of moving, because you're getting rid of things that you really don't need or want. So by categorizing, then I always ask, the H in chaos is helpful or hurtful. Your goal is to move and fit in your new space. So by going through these things and asking, is this helpful or hurtful to me to bring this? I think that that's a great question to
I love
ask.
that. I love the helpful and hurtful. Yeah. I want you to run through the chaos method for people, which I know you are, but yeah.
Yeah, we will. But those two questions right there and going through your home makes such an impact on the overwhelm and the decision fatigue, and handling those things prior to the move is huge. That's a huge help.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you've seen it too. And I know there's people that are listening out there that are like, I've moved 3 times and the same box has moved with me. And it hasn't
And it's
even been
still
opened,
packed. Yes.
right?
It's still packed. Yes.
I was just
Yes.
talking. Okay, so I'm going to totally call Gail out on this, right? And I know she's going to be listening. So MarthaCarol knows Gail, one of my besties, and she
Oh,
also works
Gail,
with us
do I
part
need to
time.
come?
And so no, but and Gail, and she was on our show talking about what she called right sizing when she and her husband moved from the big house that they raised their kids on 2 acres and the whole thing, and they right sized to a beautiful home that's still sizable. It's not like a 1 bedroom apartment, but it's still like a 3 bedroom home, but it's just more manageable. That they had to go into like a temporary housing thing because their house was fast and whatever. So they had temporarily taken they didn't rent a storage unit, but like she had access to a storage place. So she had boxes at somebody's house. And she
Okay.
said to me the other day, I just realized I never claimed those boxes. And she said, I was talking, she goes, I haven't. And this was 4 years ago. She moved. Literally, we were driving in the car the other day.
No.
And she's like, I just am going to dump them. She goes, I'm going to go get them and I'm just going to dump them. I haven't thought about them, missed them, or looked at them in 4 years.
Isn't
And
that,
how many people can
yeah.
go out there and relate to that?
Yep.
That I have either spent money to rent a storage unit or this box is sitting in my attic, garage, basement, fill in the blank. And it's just taking up space.
It's
So
just
again,
taking up space.
we're going to,
And
yeah.
and I most of the time that box is filled with obligations is what I call it. It's the obligations box. It's the this was handed down to me and it's supposed to be my great grandmother's whatever. It doesn't go with anything I have. I don't even really like it. The colors are not right, but I feel obligated to keep it because my mom's grandmother's mother's grandmother has passed it down. And so these things that are taking up space are obligations, not wants
Mhm.
or needs. And so again, we go back to that helpful or hurtful comment. Is that helpful for you to have to keep moving this around? And are you going to pass that obligation down onto your children
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
because?
Right. Yeah.
I
I
can
always tell them
promise
to
you,
do.
if I have a vase that I give to my daughter, I do not expect her to keep it if she doesn't love it.
Oh,
You
I tell
know,
people all the time the obligation is left once that you receive that gift. That's it.
yes,
Your obligation is
yes.
over. Now, I have a question for you.
Okay.
So, with somebody that a lot of the jobs that you do are helping people with the unpack side of things,
Hmm.
for people that are doing it themselves, do you recommend like setting a time limit? Like, because I haven't moved myself in over 20 years. And
Me
Josh and I are
either.
both a little bit psycho. Like we had one child at the time. She was a toddler. I mean, literally like a year and a half old. And we shipped her to my mom's for a weekend or whatever, 3 days. And we unpacked our entire house. Now, granted, we didn't have 20 years of life. You know what I mean? We
Right,
were sort of a
right.
newly married young couple. Um, but I guess my question is for people that are moving, is one of the tips like unpack every single box? Because I feel like what happens is people are like, I'll get to this later, and then later never happens.
Later, the best friend of clutter.
I love that.
Thank you, Kimberly, for that one.
Oh my gosh, we're totally putting that as a quote. I love that.
Uh-huh.
That
Yeah,
is
later, the
so
best friend
funny.
of clutter. Yes, there's all kind of tips we can have for packing. So, first and foremost, don't pack anything that you
Wait,
don't
time
love.
out. We're on unpack.
Right, but
Oh,
unpacking pertains to this.
oh, sorry.
So
Okay, go
don't
ahead.
pack anything that you don't
Yes.
need or want so that you're not wasting time unpacking and digging through boxes. But the tips would be label the boxes with the rooms they come from so that when the movers are unpacking them, or if you're unpacking them out of the moving truck, they're going into the rooms where they belong. I
Mhm.
also put a star on every box that needs to be opened first.
Oh,
So
that's a good. I like that tip.
So things that you're going to need within the first 48 hours, get a star. Um, whether that be toiletries, kitchen things that's up to you. Um, I'm trying to think of the other tips.
That's okay.
I had them written down somewhere. Um, Oh, pack a suitcase for 48 hours
Okay.
because chances are you're going to get there and the box that you need with the medicine in it, you're not going to be able to find. It's going to be under six other boxes.
So you're basically like packing an overnight bag,
I
sort
say
of.
pack like you're going to a hotel for 48 hours, but you're going to your house.
Yep.
Um, pack an over, your 48 hours. It needs to be clothes, underwear, medicines that you're going to need. Anything that you're going to need for 48 hours needs to be in a suitcase that you have control of.
Love it. Love it.
Um, I also put bedding. I put a star on all the bedding. Make your bed first. As soon as the bed gets in there, you find the sheets, you make the bed first because you can order out, you can have paper plates, you can run to the store and get toilet paper, but you're going to need to sleep in a bed and you're going to be exhausted. So you want your bed made first thing.
And you're going to want to sleep in a bed, people.
You are
Like people,
going to want to sleep in a bed.
like people are like, I'll just crash on the, on the couch, or I'll just sleep, whatever. And they don't, but getting a good night's sleep is so important, people, because you don't only need your, like, to be physically awake, you need to be mentally sharp.
Yes. Yes. The mental and physical exhaustion of moving you're just completely overwhelmed and the decision fatigue is real. And getting in there and having to make decisions about where are the dishes going to go, where are the forks going to go, and trying to lay out what where are we going to put the medicine for the children? Is it going to go in the kitchen or is it going to go in the kids' bathroom? I mean, there's so many little decisions that have to be made that I think it's really important. That's why I always say star the important things and pack for 48 hours because 48 hours, once you're in, once the boxes are in, you get a good night's sleep and then you're ready to go with a fresh mind.
Okay, I have another question for you.
Okay.
So do you, because because obviously that all my personality types and how people can overthink things or not, kind of ignore things. So do you recommend, is there a better or worse way to approach it? Like, let's just unpack everything and then we'll figure out its final resting spot after it's all done? Or do you like, okay, as we're unpacking it, let's be super strategic about where it goes? Because I could see some people getting really caught up in the weeds of, should this go in the medicine cabinet? Should it go in the kitchen? Should it go? And then that slows down the unpacking process to a point where.
So we do a little of both, Lori. So the first thing we do is we take sticky notes and we look around the kitchen and we zone the kitchen with sticky notes.
Oh, I like it. Okay.
First, because it kind of gives a little bit of a plan. So while one organizer's doing that, the other ones are unpacking the main things, not the china. They're unpacking the dishes, the glasses, that are those things that are going to need to be used, the spices, the food, all of those things that are needed in the immediate existence. We unpack first and having a space to start putting them in that place. Now, do they remain in that place? Not always. Sometimes it just gives us a general plan and then we realize they have more dishes than cabinets, so we have to adjust and that happens over time. We're not unpacking the china, we're not unpacking grandma's vases, we're not unpacking the things that are not essential. The first 24 hours is the essential star box.
I love that. Okay, so only the essentials for the first 24 hours, people.
For the first 24 hours. So it's really important because those are the things that you have to have and they're not a maybe. So once you get to the maybes, sometimes you end up getting rid of some of those maybes because you realize you don't have the space for them.
Yeah.
So the maybes come second. So the first boxes to be opened in the first 24 hours are all the stars.
Love it.
All the starred boxes. Those are and at that point we're looking around and when we're doing the sticky notes, we're looking in the kids' bathroom, we're looking in your bathroom, and we're looking in the kitchen and we're making the decision of, okay, this is probably best for the kids' meds. You have the space in this room. There's water access right here. With small kids, of course, you're not putting the medicine in their bathroom. You're putting it in an area where you're going to be able to reach it. It's those things. It's where's the space. And typically when we walk into a new house, it's the first time we're seeing it too. So we take a minute to really walk around and get a lay of the land. And then we start with zoning.
I love that. We're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back, continue this conversation. So sit tight. So that was another question. You were just saying that a lot of times the first time you and your team are getting eyes on a job is when you walk in that first day. And that's the thing is, I guess another question I have is for people that either maybe they don't have the luxury of having a team come in there and undo it, but if they're doing it themselves and they've had the opportunity to go in and see what their apartment or house is going to look like, is there anything they can be doing or should be doing proactively to think about, plan out, or should they just say, you know what, don't even waste your time thinking about it, just deal with it when you get there?
It depends. It
Okay.
depends on the person, the amount of stuff. If you have young kids and you're having to focus on young kids, the more planning you do, the better because
Mhm.
it'll go faster. A downsizing couple will have more time to slowly unpack and process those types of things. A single person moving might have time, but also may have a big career and not have time. So
Right.
if you have the time, for the more you plan, the better off you will be in that situation. Um, a lot of times, see, the nice part about having experienced organizers is we can go in and zone within seconds because my organizers and I, we're all experienced, we're all moms, we've all lived in houses, we've all raised children. My organizers are older, so we understand how the process has to work and where you are in that stage of life. That's a unique thing about where I am and who I hire, and it makes a difference because we can come in with a mom with a 2 and 4 year old and say, okay, you're in this stage of life, you're going to need snacks where they can reach them, you're going to need plastic bowls and cups where they can reach them, you need medicines up high, you need these things up high, and we can go in and zone pretty quickly. For someone who has teenagers, their zoning is going to be completely different in their areas. Teenagers can get their own Advil. They're a little more self-sufficient and more independent, and therefore the zoning is a bit different. So
Yeah, no, I love that. And, I know that some of the things I can think about some specific examples of going into clients' homes and looking at, you mentioned zoning, and obviously we all have our lingo as well. And zoning is simply putting like with like, right? That's really essentially what it is. And I know I've walked into people's houses and I've been like, okay, so walk me through why do you've got some baking stuff here and some over there and whatever. And they'll go, well, that's just how it was unpacked.
mhm.
And it's like that was 10 years ago. And it just kind of sticks because you
Oh
get
my
into your
gosh.
routine and rut. Go ahead.
Yes. Or we were unpacking and I ran out of time, so we just started shoving things in cabinets, and it's been there for 3, 4 years and we just have never moved it. But zoning is more than just categorizing, it's also the flow of process.
Mm.
So, when you're cooking, you're going from prepping to cooking to serving. And that flow matters because you don't want people walking trying to serve themselves in the cooking and prep zone while people are you get
Get
my
out of my
you get my
kitchen.
you get my
Get out of
drift.
my
Get
kitchen.
out of my kitchen. And it also matters in the cleanup process. So it's not just the categorizing, it's the flow. When your child's getting up in the middle of the night, where are you most likely going to be getting the medicine? Are you going to be grabbing them in the kitchen and taking them to the kitchen sink? Are you going to be taking them to their bathroom, which is right off their bedroom? All of that flow, when you think about those things, that's what I mean by zoning. How when your kids, let's just say, when you walk in your back door, where's the drop zone?
Right. Right.
Right. All of that flow matters. So where's the laundry room in that area? And so that's what I mean by zoning things. We're really trying to look at your family and look at and zone things to according how you live.
I love it. Okay, so I
So
want to kind of pivot slightly and talk about some other aspects about the kind of unpacking the back end of the move process, right? So now
okay.
you've gotten through like I'm forwarding my mail, I've turned off everything. Now we're in our new house or we're getting ready to go into our new house. Do you and if you don't do this, I'm sure you have recommendations for people about the onboarding of getting like all of their everything switched over, the water supply if they have city water, or all of their subscriptions, or any whatever it is that they need in terms of the non-physical stuff, but all those other ancillary parts to a move. How do you
Right.
help your clients with that? Or is that something that you don't necessarily?
Well, it depends on the client. I have a lot of clients handle that themselves. A lot of clients, especially downsizing clients, there might be some medical issues and they're having to focus on a spouse or other things. And what we do is we have a checklist that we go through. And part of our process is sitting with them and saying, okay, have you looked at these things? If they don't have a family member helping them with that, if they are not capable of doing that, not capable, capable is the wrong word. If they're overwhelmed and just need somebody to help them walk through that process. It's real important for us just to sit down and be that person to think. Now, in the 2016 floods, we flooded. And I'm an organizer and I'm an organized person. But it took somebody coming, standing next to me and thinking through the process because I was so overwhelmed that there was just no logic in my brain
Well,
anymore
and
at
you were
that
too
point. You're
close
you're
to
in
it.
brain yeah, you're in brain fog.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. So somebody moving from their house after 40 years, they get in a brain fog and they're stuck and the memories are just bombarding them. And it just helps to have a friend, a family member, an organizer, somebody walking through that process with them and sitting there. Sometimes you sit with them while they make the phone calls and you help them find the information that they're needing to set those things up. Yes, we do all of those things as needed. As
Yeah,
needed.
I love it. And I think it's great. I love the idea of even just having a checklist, whether you again create one on your own or thinking about like all the things. And I don't know about you, but for me, it's like it's when I'm in the shower, I think of it, or at night, or when I'm driving in the car. And it's like, oh, wait, I have to change the address for my Easy Pass or whatever it is. I
Yes,
don't know. Do you guys have Easy
yes.
Pass down there? Is that a
No,
thing?
we don't.
Do you know what it
But I
is?
do know what it is.
You do? Okay.
Yeah. I've traveled
Um,
enough. I know what that is.
okay. But you know what I mean? Like it's those oftentimes those random things that
Right.
pop in. You're like, oh, wait, I have to do this, or I forgot about that.
I
And
am very much a list person and I highly suggest list. In fact, one of my tips is to keep a notebook
mm,
or or a note list on your computer that is just all about that's where you store your emails, that's where you store your information that you're going to need to move. Even having the new address written down where you can easily access it because you need it over and over and over and until you learn it you're having to access that all the time. So keeping a notebook or even a folder that you're keeping receipts in for your move, everything
mm,
that you need needs to be in one place so you can access it really easy.
I love that. I love that. So on that note, and you've already given so many great tips. So our goal with this whole episode or these two episodes is to help reduce some of the stress and overwhelm. Obviously, we can't take it away. It's going to be there, but just get very kind of dialed in strategic of things. You've already done, and just to recap, we talked about starring the boxes. We've talked about packing an overnight bag, opening those essentials in the first 48 hours, making your bed. Is there anything else that keeping a list in a notebook? Is there any other things that you think would be really important for our listeners to know that might be either in the throes of it or no, okay, I have a move coming down the pike. These are the things.
Get you need to call movers 6 to 8 weeks in advance.
Mm-hmm.
Get
Yes.
time. Time is essential. Do not wait to the last minute. I have people that will call in the middle of a move and be exhausted and say, I just can't do it anymore. Can y'all unpack me tomorrow? And I'm like, no, we're booking 6 weeks out. I'm so sorry. And I want to help them, but I can't. And so I think it's really important to think ahead and plan as much as possible. And even if you plan something and have to cancel it, have pizza delivered that night. Don't cook,
Right.
but plan ahead and having those things in place is takes a lot of the decision fatigue from happening at the time of the move. It's important to do as much as you can in as much time as you have.
I love that. And really, again, it's about trying to be proactive and be realistic, I think, with yourself and
Yes.
knowing again how much physically, how much mentally, how much logistically can I handle, right? If you're a mom, again, a mom with little kids, like, are you really going to be able to get uninterrupted time? Or is this going to be like, is it better to, do I need to outsource my kids so I can spend on uninterrupted time? Or do I need to hire somebody to help me with this because I know that I'm going to be pulled in 20 different directions? Or
Right.
if I'm somebody that's, again, older and has some physical ailments, whatever the situation is, or again, like you said, maybe you're just single, but you have a huge busy career and you can't take the time to do it. I think being honest about and realistic with kind of what your bandwidth is so important. And that means, again, whether we're saying outsource it entirely to professionals, which obviously I think most of us would like to do in any aspect of our lives, right? Let me
Right.
outsource it. But understanding, and that's the purpose of this show, is to be able to say, okay, we realize that you might not be there financially or whatever, but here are some things to help you from the experts simplify this
Yes.
process.
Definitely, and start with the checklist immediately because that will have those things on there, some that you can do yourself and some that you need to outsource for sure. And Lori, the biggest tip of all that I can give to anybody who's about to move is to remember your stuff has to fit your space.
Mm,
Your
love it.
space is not coming to fit your stuff. Your stuff has to fit your space. And so when you're thinking about your new space and how you want it to be, I think choosing wisely is key.
Mhm. I love that. That's really, really good. And, I think the other thing that I'm going to say on the flip side is because I think that's super relevant specifically for people who are downsizing, but for people who are going almost in the opposite direction. Like I have a friend of mine who is like, has a young family. She's like in her 30s and adorable with two little babies. And she's just in that growth phase of her life.
Mhm.
And they just moved from a, small little kind of bungalow cottagey house to a like her new house is literally double the size.
Oh,
So
how exciting.
super exciting, also overwhelming, but it's easy for people to then just go, I've got the space. I will just deal with it later and I'll just shove this in a drawer. I'll shove this in a closet because you are in the opposite where you have to make a decision because you don't have the closet space on a downsize. Here you're like, well, I have extra space. I'm just going to shove it. And what we want to try to do is encourage people to get off on the right foot. Because what
Right.
happens is once it's there, until you need that space, which may be like who knows when, it's just going to sit there. And so we don't want that hanging over your head.
Well, and you want everything to have a home so that when you need something, you're able to find it. It doesn't matter if you're in a
Bingo.
small space or a big space. If you can't find the things that you need at the time you need them and you're having to go out and buy more, then you're wasting space, you're wasting time, you're wasting money. And so it's really important, no matter what your space is that everything finds a home and that the things that you use, I call it prime real estate. Prime real estate is like if you're in your kitchen, the things that you use in your kitchen need to be in your kitchen. If you don't use it in your kitchen, get it out of your kitchen. It's
Right.
having those things and making sure it doesn't matter how much space you have. If you have empty cabinets and empty drawers, that's okay because such as your friend that's a young mom, they're going to fill up at some point with other things. But when you need scissors, you're going to want to be able to say, "Hey, I need somebody to go get the scissors and they need to have a home."
Bingo. I love that. All right. So we're gonna put a pin in it for that because I think we've given a ton of really great information. Before we take our last break, I referenced it briefly in the intro, but you are going to be releasing your first book. And it's probably, I mean, the time that this drops, it's the end of July. So we're talking what, like 6, 8 months? It's still a little
It's
ways to
still
coming.
yes, we're hoping to launch around March of next year. We're
But
about
tell
to
us about it. Tell us
Oh my
all
gosh,
about
we're
it.
so excited. So there's 1,000 great organizing books out there. Well, we decided to put a Southern spin on ours, and it's called Southern Chaos, Organizing the Southern Home. And I know, Laura, you're up in the Northeast, and we're down here in the South. And we have, we just do things a little bit different down here. Like we have hunting closets and we have wreath storage. So we decided to take all this knowledge of the things that we do in the South and really put them into a beautiful coffee table book that's going to be pretty laying on a table. It's an easy read. It's a lot of fun. There's lots of humor in it. So it's a very light read. It's not something that you're going to want to read in 24 hours. It's something you're going to pick up and read a page or two and enjoy it and put it
There's
back
lots of
down.
pretty pictures.
The
There's lots.
pictures are beautiful. The pictures are beautiful, and it really it takes you through the what I call the Southern New Year, which is the fall in August because school's starting, hunting season starting, SEC football, that's big down here, and so we have sections on tailgating, but we go through August, and then we get to summer, and we have organized by the summer all the spaces in your house, including Mardi Gras, including
I
all
love
the
it.
fun
I
things.
love it.
And then when we get to summer, it's too hot to do anything. So we're like, take a break. We'll see you next August. And so it really has a fun spin on the organizing process, as well as a lot of cute Southernisms and things that we say, and some stories, some personal stories. I co-wrote it with my sorority sister and friend, Lisa Clement. And we just think it's going to be a lot of fun. And the pictures are
I
beautiful.
can't wait.
And so it's just going to be a fun read.
Well, we're definitely, you guys, I'll be promoting it when it comes out. And it's written by MarthaCarol, or co-written by MarthaCarol, who is a hoot. And I can't, again, and for somebody who lives up in the Northeast who, doesn't know all of these Southernisms, I can't wait to kind of get a glimpse into your world down there and what life is like there, because I think it's going to be awesome. And I love it. So I just wanted to kind of put that teaser out there for everybody to be on the lookout. It's not going to be for a little bit, but follow along, and we'll make sure that you guys, as soon as it goes on pre-sale, you'll be able to get it.
Yes, and you can sign up. There's an email link on our website where you can
Perfect.
sign up, and we're going to email when the pre-sale starts. So if you're interested, go to the Chaos Organizing website and sign up there.
All right. And I was just going to say, where can people find you? chaosorganizing.com, right?
We are on Facebook. We are on Pinterest. We are on Instagram. We just joined the new Meta guy. What's it called? I don't even know what it's called.
Oh my God. What? TikTok?
No, what is it? It used to be, we're on TikTok too, but it used to, wait, hang on, I'm looking it up. Threads. Have you gotten on Threads yet?
I don't even know what that is. I can't keep up.
It's the Twitter. It's Twitter by Mark Zuckerberg.
It's the Twitter.
Well, it's not anymore. Where it's not Twitter, it's Threads.
Oh, geez.
It's Zuckerberg's answer to Twitter.
Oh my God, I have a headache.
I know you're gonna have to cut all that out.
I have a headache of all of that. But we're going to link up to all things MarthaCarol wherever she is. And of course, you can always find her on our website, on our partner page, because she is one of our SBO endorsed organizers. And seriously, anybody in Louisiana, she's your gal. So look her up. All right, we're going to take a quick break. You know the drill. We'll be back with our Hot Mess Minute, so sit tight. Hey guys, I just want to tell you about a webinar that I'm going to be hosting in September. So I know it's a couple months away, but we're going to be doing some wait listing for anybody who's interested in attending this webinar. And it's all going to be geared towards how to start or grow a professional organizing business. I did a similar event last year. We had a huge turnout. It was really great. This is a limited event. There's only going to be 100 spots available. The webinar is totally, completely free. But I will also be, just as a quick spoiler alert, I'm going to be opening up my calendar for a group of coaching and mentoring for specifically people that are looking to maybe consider starting a professional organizing business, whether it's a side hustle, or maybe they're going through a new season of life with kids going off to school, or maybe kids, you know, becoming an empty nester, career change, all the different things. A lot of people are not sure what they need in terms of the business side of the business. And so this is going to be an 8-week program. Because my calendar is limited, I'm only going to be opening up for 10 people. So the webinar is a great way for you to kind of learn a little bit about what the coaching mentoring program is going to be about. So if you are interested, my recommendation is sign up, get on the wait list for when the webinar becomes available. That way you can definitely get on the list, and then we'll have links for you to follow whether or not this is something for you. And I hope to see you there. So check out the links in our show notes, check out the links in our bio, and we hope to see you then. Remember, mark the calendar, September 20th. All right, MarthaCarol. So you are no stranger to the show. You've been on it before. You listen to it. You know the drill with our wrap-up questions. But for anybody that's new to our show, we always ask our guests a few questions. And one of them has to do with inspiration and books. And I know that you're not a huge book reader because you're so busy always doing a million things that you don't always take the time to sit and read.
I don't
But
sit still very well.
no, it's so funny because on my recent sidebar, my recent tip of the week, our recent tip of the week
I saw.
was about making time to read. And MarthaCarol comments, yeah, I need to do that.
I do. I have a stack of books that I want to read, and then I sit down and I read 3 pages, and then I fall asleep because I'm sitting down.
Oh my goodness, it's so funny.
I don't sit still very well, but I was a teacher. So
Yes.
one of my favorite books, which sidebar we'll talk about later, but one of my
Okay.
favorite books is The Best Nest by P.D. Eastman. And I think he wrote like Are You My Mother? And some
Okay.
other fun books that people are familiar with. Anyway, The Best Nest it was a book that my dad used to read me when I was a little girl, and the bird sings a little song about I love my house, I love my nest, and all the world my nest
Oh,
is best. And then it talks about the wife is not happy and wants to move, and he tries to find them a new place, and ultimately they end up back in the same house at the end. And the whole theme of the book is love where you are. And I
I
think that
love
that is,
this.
I know the book itself gets a lot of criticism because the mama bird is not very nice to Papa Bird. But the moral of the story is love where you are. And that to me just resonates so much because I've always said, love where you are. Get rid of the stuff. If you're having to move because you have too much stuff and you're feeling cramped, then you have filled your house with things, and love where you are. So what is it that you can let go where you can still love where you are?
I love
And
it. I love it. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to buy this book because I've never heard of it. And
it was
it
written in the 70s. Like, I mean, I was born in 70, so I think it might be 78, 79. It's a very old book, but
oh,
it was one of my favorites, and I read it to my kids.
I love
But
that.
I
It's so
just
true.
I just
Yes.
went back to order it, because my nephew is having twins. So I went back to
Oh
order some children's books, and I went back to order that one. And I was looking at the reviews, and I was like, oh, you're right. She's not real nice to him.
my gosh. So
But
funny.
as a kid, I didn't even notice. So there
No,
you go.
so funny. And then, of course, in the spirit of transparency and authenticity, we love asking our guests, especially our organizers, where in this
Oh,
particular season of your life do you feel the most organized, and where do you feel like a little bit of a hot mess? Because, folks, even professional organizers have their hot mess moments. So
absolutely, we do. We absolutely do. And I find the busier I am, the more hot mess I have. For me, I paper is overwhelming because I don't like to sit and I don't read. So anything that has to do with paperwork or files or computer work where I'm sitting and having to be still and read and do that's where I'm a hot mess. So I have outsourced that. I have a lovely new assistant who's helping me get that piece of my life together,
awesome.
because I am a piler and I will sit it over there and deal with it later. Remember later, the best friend of clutter? Yeah.
My gosh, I love
So,
that.
I know. Go Kimberly for
It's like I
that.
want it on a
I can't
t-shirt.
even claim that. It's
I
Kimberly.
know. Oh
It's
my
Kimberly.
God.
So, that is where I'm a hot mess. But where I find that I'm very organized is my house, especially now as an empty nester where kids are not unearthing things that I've organized and I don't have the mounds of laundry that young moms do. My house stays very organized now and it's very simple. And I've even got now where I'm planning a wedding in October that's going to be at my house.
I was
So
just
I
going to
even have a
say,
wedding
you have,
closet.
yes, I was going to say, you've got a whole other project that's happening, which is like
Yeah, a
another
300
job.
person wedding at my house is another job.
300
Between that,
people.
it's going to be over 300 people at my house, and between that and work and writing a book, I again, where's the reading time?
You
I'm
need a
coming visit
vacation.
you after the wedding, and I'm going to bring a book.
You should. And the fall is such a lovely time to come to Bucks County. It's beautiful.
I need
We'll
to
go
come.
apple picking. We'll go to the orchard, pumpkin
Mm.
picking.
Okay, that
Oh,
might be a thing. That might be a thing.
hey,
We might have to
listen,
set that up.
we're here for it. We're here for it. Hey, um, all right, guys. So thank you, Martha Carol. We'll make sure that we link to all things. You can grab the pre-sale or get on our newsletter so that you can get the pre-sale. Also, is that checklist available, by the way, for download for people?
There is, I will double check that. I'm not
You know what?
absolutely positive, but I
You
will
know what?
double check
We'll make
that.
sure that we get you something, or you can reach out to her directly if you guys are
I have
interested. We'll make
I
sure.
have a moving checklist. I just need to make sure it's on my free printables.
You got it. Well, we'll either way connect up with Martha Carol and she'll make sure that your move is seamless.
Your
So
move is smooth.
your move is smooth, people. So again, thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time here, welcome. We love new listeners, followers. Please click the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. You can also go back to our catalog of over 300 plus episodes. We're on YouTube, so make sure if you prefer to watch us, click the subscribe button there. And we love reviews and shares from friends. So until next week, I'm Lori Palau. Peace out. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this episode, please spread the love and share it with your friends. And if this is your first time joining us, make sure to click the subscribe button wherever you are listening so you never miss an episode. And while you're there, please leave us a review so other people know that our show is worth the listen. You can also find us on YouTube and Instagram at This Organized Life Podcast. And if you'd like to connect with us, you can head on over to our website at simply the letter B like boy organized.com, which is filled with tons of resources, including free downloads, checklists, links to our amazing organizing partners, and all of our digital offerings. I'll see you next week for another episode of This Organized Life.